All right, welcome to the Young Turks. Whole new week ahead. Nothing but fun for you guys as usual. We've got a lot of stories for you. A lot of details coming out on Palin's book and a lot of disagreements about what's in it. And now the conservatives have gone ballistic over two absurd things. Number one is the trial of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. How dare we actually bring anyone to justice? Unbelievable and unacceptable, apparently, to the conservatives. We got more on that than you know what to do with. In fact, Huckabee has already predicted that if anything goes awry in that trial, it's the end of Obama. So are they politicizing this issue related to terrorism? No, probably not. Probably not. We'll get to that in a little bit. And then the second thing they're going ballistic over is apparently Obama has bowed down to the Japanese emperor. A sign of respect for a foreign leader? How dare he? All right, that's also coming up in a little bit. All right, now, but I do want to start with some random news, okay? Number one, just kind of follow-ups that I didn't want to let go from last week. Lou Dobbs. You remember how he quit last week? If you don't remember, what you been, living in a box? Anyway, guess how much he got? You ready to get dispirited? $8 million buyout, according to the New York Post. Now, New York Post is a bit of a tabloid run by Murdoch or owned by Murdoch, so you take it with a grain of salt, but apparently CNN wanted to, kept talking about how he's got to go, and some of the quotes from Dobbs leads you to believe that that's exactly what happened. He said, "What they do is their business. I tried to accommodate them as best as I could, but I've said for many years now that neutrality is not part of my being." Okay, so super clear that he was pushed out and that they wanted him to be quote-unquote neutral, which is an interesting concept that CNN is going for. And he said he couldn't do it, so he said, look, here's the deal. My contract's supposed to run until 2011. How about you pay me the rest of it, and then I go home and put my feet up. And apparently, they roughly agreed to that and gave him an $8 million payment to leave CNN. So, was he forced out? Yes. Did he make a tremendous amount of money being forced out? Yes. So, I don't know. Who do you want to count as winners? The people who didn't like Lou Dobbs? I guess they're winners because Dobbs is off the air. Lou Dobbs, yeah, he's off the air, but he's got $8 million in his pocket for doing nothing. Okay. I guess the only one you can't really quite count as a winner here is CNN because they lose $8 million. They get rid of a guy who sucked, but they get, they continue with their brand of neutrality, which is burning up the ratings. So good luck to them with that. See if they make up more than $8 million doing that. Now, and I'm not giving an opinion there on whether they should have forced Lou Dobbs out or not. All right, now, one more thing. I guess Anna wants to talk about this more in the third hour, but Shep Smith is backpedal. Yeah, he said that lack of balance apology that he gave on air regarding to the New Jersey governor's race, he now regrets it. And he shouldn't have talked about the lack of balance that Fox News had. A little unfortunate, but as I said at the time, he was a little harsh on the reporter there on the scene, and he alludes to that. So if he's apologizing for that, I get that. That's not too crazy. We might talk more about that in the third hour. All right, now, there's a great story here on Glenn Beck, but I think I'm going to save that one for tomorrow because we're going to get Sam Stein, who wrote it on the program, I believe, from Huffington Post. You know how Glenn Beck always does guilt by association? Well, Mao once knew a Chinese guy who once knew a guy from around the way who once knew Bill Ayers, who once knew Van Jones, who once knew Barack Obama, right? Well, what Sam did was he got a list of the guests that have been on Beck's program, and some of them repeatedly, and checked out where they're from. Are you going to be surprised to find out that we have white supremacists, guys who believe the Civil War was a war of northern aggression? And the list goes on and on. But I want to save that for if Sam comes on. We'll have a long talk about that, and he'll tell us exactly who those guys are, hopefully on tomorrow's program. And then, somewhat related to the media, we found out, of course, who has blocked the images of detainees being brutalized, terrorized, however you want to call it, from coming out, and it is Defense Secretary Robert Gates. And he has barred 40 images from getting out there, saying that if they do get out in the public record, that it'll harm our troops. Apparently, they're so bad and devastating that people will want to take up arms against us for what we have done. I think that's fairly frank admission in and of itself, that yes, what we did was so heinous that if it sees the day of light, people will want to attack our troops, even if they're not the ones who did it. Okay, so that's an interesting admission if you ask me, and of course, conservatives are very happy about that. I get the Defense Secretary not wanting to put those images out. So I don't really hold Gates accountable for that, as you know. And at the same time, if you want to, have at it, Hoss. But I think the guy responsible there is Obama. If I was the president, I would almost expect that my Defense Secretary would make that argument, and it would be my job to overrule him and say no, that's not how we do things in America, and we're going to release these pictures because we're going to show people that we're an open and honest government and we don't tolerate this kind of thing. Now, that's not the direction for the moment being that Obama's gone. But on the other hand, he's bringing in Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, you know, to be brought to justice in New York, and he's catching a lot of heat for that. And that's apparently these days a courageous act. So we will certainly defend him on that. And I told you last week that I was very happy about that. Now, Politico has an interesting article about all the people who are fighting Chris Dodd over his financial reform bill. Now, again, last week I told you what Chris Dodd's bill was strong and that it might do real financial reform so that everybody was going to go to war against it. And so now Politico reports everyone has gone to war against it. So you've got the banking industry, you've got the politicians who were bought by the banking industry, you've got Obama's Treasury Department, you've got some guys from the House, of course you have the Republicans. They're all on the attack on all different provisions of the bill. And there are some provisions of the bill that I'm not that happy with. For example, one provision has the larger banks paying into a fund after a financial collapse rather than before a financial collapse. But after a financial collapse, they might not have the money. And that's the fund needed for the rainy day. But if you try to collect that money from the fund after the rainy day, well, that doesn't make much sense, right? So, so I don't like that. And then there's one other provision which weakens the FDIC a little bit that I'm not on board with. So the people fighting back against those, sure. But 80% of the people fighting back against Chris Dodd's legislation are scared to death that it's actually going to do real reform and that Wall Street can't make as much money taking the high risk that they are in the short term and sticking us with the bill. So the fact that all these people have attacked Dodd's bill is a great sign. That means it's an actual strong bill with real reforms. So, but don't prejudge anything. Go section by section, of course, as we will on the program. Look at what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Who's arguing for it? Who's arguing against it? What are their motivations? But overall, Dodd is right again on this one. So, I'm behind him on this, no question about it, especially given his enemies and why they're attacking him. Okay, now, we told you again last week about Greg Craig, the White House counsel, leaving. And I said it's not a good sign because he was one of the good guys in the administration. Steve Clemons from New America Foundation, who's been on the program many times, has got a note out talking about, this is a very bad sign. And he's got a lot of great sources inside Washington, and he says he's got a couple of different reasons than I do for thinking it's a bad sign. Some similar, some different. He agrees that Greg Craig was one of the strong progressives inside the White House, but a realist. Not pie in the sky. Here, how do we get things done, but going towards progressive goals, right? So he thinks losing a guy like that, of course, is not a good sign for progressives. Now, that's one thing. Steve Clemons is fairly moderate. So his concern is on a different issue, his larger concern, and that is, what does it tell you about the Obama White House? Because Obama ran a campaign where they were proud of not leaking and not playing dirty politics, et cetera, et cetera. And he explains the Greg Craig situation was a mess. Leaks everywhere, damaging leaks, leaks on purpose, leaks meant to defame is a strong word, but certainly to do, I don't want to say character assassination, but career assassination, that's for damn sure, of Greg Craig. And NPR is reporting that the most likely culprit of those leaks is, you're going to be really surprised, Rahm Emanuel. So Rahm Emanuel went to go get this guy, and he done got him. So that's definitely a bad sign in a couple of different ways, and it wasn't supposed to be like this, and it is. We might have Steve Clemens on a little later in the week to talk about this development as well. Now, one quick note on that. In the middle of his article, he mentioned something I did not know about Rahm Emanuel. Apparently, Bill Clinton tried to fire Rahm Emanuel 3 different times. Interesting. And Rahm Emanuel somehow evaded that fire. How do you evade getting fired by the president? Well, he's a crafty dude. He'd get called in for meetings, and he wouldn't go. So there was this one, out of the 3, there was this one time where he avoided the White House for 3 straight weeks. Just didn't go to it. And so they couldn't talk to him to fire him. And then Clinton's anger apparently would cool down, and Rahm Emanuel would do something apparently positive to show his value to the team, and he'd stay on board. You got to hand it to the guy. The dude is crafty. Okay? Now, I've done something similar before. That's why I was amused by the story. Once I was going to be relieved, my guess is, very strong guess, is that I was going to be relieved of a certain position. Okay? And so my boss in that position called me in and said, yeah, I didn't like how you handled this, Cenk. You know, we got trouble. But anyway, come in and let's talk about it. Here's what I didn't do. Go in. Evasion. Just skirted right around it, pretend it never happened, never went to the meeting, never brought it back up, and that was that. And I remained in my position. Hey, Rahm, you're not the only crafty one around here. So just a little note, a little FYI to everybody. Sometimes, you know, the best way to avoid a situation is to avoid a situation. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying. All right? And, God, there's a great little story here. Let me do this one, and then let's come back and hit you with all the controversies at the start of this week. The New York Times has caught Democrats and Republicans doing something, well, I would consider it funny and sad at the same time. It turns out about 42 congressmen, 22 Republicans, and 20 Democrats essentially gave the same speech on health care reform. Now, wait a minute. How is that possible? They totally disagree on health care reform. One side's all voting yes, the other side's all voting no. How can they be giving the same speech? Well, it's because lobbyists wrote it for them and handed it to the congressman, and the congressman, well, their staff claims to have read it, and some made minor changes to it, but they all submitted it to be part of the record on the health care reform debate. Now, which means that they didn't actually get on the floor of the House and read it, but it's as if they read it. They come in and they hand it in, and they go, let this show for the record that I stated this, right? And they walk away. And New York Times, great journalism here by Robert Pear, looks through it and he's like, wait a minute. That Republican just said the same thing as that Democrat, and that Democrat, and that Republican. And it turns out they got an email, and they found out that the source is Genentech, and that is a very large biotech firm, and they have hired lobbyists, 2 Washington law firms, who wrote the statements, handed it to all these congressmen who do their bidding, and said, submit this to the record. Bow your head. I don't know if they threw in the gratuitous bow your head, but they did. When they asked the congressman, well, look, it looks like you guys have all received a lot of money from the same biotech companies, and you all read the same statement and submitted it for the record. You think there might be a coincidence? There might be some sort of connection, or just a coincidence? And the congressman like, oh, no, financial considerations? How dare you? Go. Look, unfortunately, the list includes old friends of the show like Bill Pascrell from New Jersey, which is a shame. Okay, he's got a quote in there saying, look, My staff looked at it, and I should have looked at it better. My bad, etc. Joe Wilson from South Carolina, also on the same list. Now, what's going to get Bill Pascrell to agree with Joe Wilson? And you know what the answer is? Money. Okay? And I told you, I gave you a story. It was a little while ago, about a week to 2 weeks ago, about how the biotech companies were the most successful in buying the politicians. They had a crushing vote in Waxman's committee against Waxman to extend the amount of time that they would get to keep their patents. Okay? So the longer they keep their patents, the more profits they make. In fact, those profits are well into the billions. I mean, by the end of 10-year period, it was hundreds of billions extra that they were making because of this bill. It was enormously important to them. And they also spend more than almost anyone. And the Time magazine had a great story about this, where they showed that already in about 6 months in the beginning of 2009, they had spent over $100 million lobbying Congress. That was $609,000 a day that they gave in lobbying money and directly to congressmen. So they spent the most, and they got the most loyalty from both Democrats and Republicans. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I hate to bring you the harsh realities of life. But if you spend enough money, you can buy congressmen on both sides. One little cute part of this is in the prepared statements that the lobbyists sent, they pretend as if they're speaking on the floor of the House, as if the congressmen are actually speaking. They don't. They just handed them in, right? But it says on there things like, I reserve the right to disagree with the great gentleman from the other side. You're like, why would you write that down if you didn't give a speech? And the second part of it that's so funny is how they're pretending to disagree with the other side. Well, it's the same speech. They all agree. Now, why the Republicans agree? They say, oh, this bill is terrible, et cetera, and that's written in the beginning. Like they don't agree. I don't agree with this bill. I love the part about biotech. That kicks ass. We all agree. And then they ask the Republicans and the Democrats, and the Democrats say, job creation. It was because of job creation. And the Republicans come up with a different answer as to why it was, but they all agree. That biotech money was delicious. And that's how your Congress works, ladies and gentlemen. Young Turks. All right, welcome back to the Young Turks. We've got controversy. Everybody, ring. I can't believe it. Obama's done it again. He's shown respect to a foreign leader. Oh, look at this. Oh, he bowed down to the Japanese Emperor Akihito. How dare he actually follow the customs of that country and show respect in a way that almost everyone does. This is so dispiriting. This is not the man I voted for. I didn't know he would be making body movements like this. Well, as you can imagine, there's a frenzy in the right wing. First, we're going to get word on this from a detached, neutral commentator that Fox News has found. His name is Karl Rove. So let's hear what he has to say about it. Let's go to clip number 12.
All right, Carl, also during this Asian trip, the President of the United States had a very deep bow toward the Emperor of Japan. This is a long-standing precedent going back to the founding of the Republicans. American presidents don't bow to anybody, but the president, there he is bowing. He bowed to King Abdullah earlier in the year as well. The administration said, look, it's just protocol. It's one of those things they do. You've been in an administration where a president has faced, there's Abdullah right there, going down. Why doesn't when you look at this, what do you think?
I think it was inappropriate. Look, you made a slight nod of the head, perhaps, to the Japanese emperor, though. What's that all about? I mean, he's not even the head of state. But that deep bow for the waist, actually, in the Japanese culture bespeaks weakness. And look, the president of the United States simply can't get it right. I mean, it's a worldwide apology tour. We're sorry, we're wrong. And incidentally, I'm going to bow deeply to the waist to the once divine Japanese, Japanese monarchy. I just don't get it. I mean, in England they didn't bow, but they bow there. They bowed to the Saudi, but will they bow to the king, to the Queen of Netherlands? Please get this thing right. I think it's best if American presidents do what they have always done, which is stand for our small r Republican values and do not bow to monarchy.
Yes, I mean, it was a bow down to the waist. How could you, Obama? How could you betray us like this? Well, unsurprisingly, Japan has just taken Louisiana. Because once you do that, obviously you're just going to start giving away parts of the country. Abdullah's, negotiating over New Mexico because of the earlier bow. So you can see this has tremendous policy implications. Earlier, Fox News had criticized Obama for the way that he ate his hamburger. Apparently, you're not supposed to put mustard on it if you're a real American, according to Sean Hannity. Okay, so we have Mustardgate, now we have Bowgate. And I like the way that, was it Steve Ducey over there going, look at him going down. Very clever, Steve. And Karl Rove found this deeply inappropriate. But it's true. And I love what he said there. He's like, well, maybe a little nod of the head, Can't you just see Bush doing it? Hey, Emperor Toyota. How you doing, Mr. Honda? It's good to see you. What's the chances that Bush would have gotten Akihito right? Mr. Hito Puto, it's great to see you. No, of course, what Bush did when he saw the emperor is he slapped him in the face. He said, yeah, take that, huh? And you try me again. I'll do Hiroshima one more time. You want another Nagasaki? Okay, look, the guy is doing diplomacy. How does it hurt anybody if he's respectful? And he says, hey, how you doing? Yeah, stick there long. Bowing down to the waist. Now, look, if you think these things are serious and you think this is how you should judge a president, well, I got two things for you. One, okay, go ahead and vote for Republicans who don't respect anyone or anyone else's culture. Have at it, okay? Number two, oh, no, wait, you can't do that. Because remember how Bush respected Saudi culture by walking hand in hand with the leader of Saudi Arabia, who was also a monarch, in Crawford. Remember how they walked around and they held hands like little teenage girls? And later they tongue-kissed? You remember that? Okay. Dave, if you can pull up the pictures in a little bit, we'll share that with you guys. What happened there? Oh, no, that was just a tough man from Crawford. He's a guy. Oh, what is this? And did you know that an American president has never held another man's hand before? Another world leader's hand like that? Or made out with a dude with a goatee? Or a headdress? Never done before, Bush. I don't know where you're going to turn. Because, I mean, if Bush is showing respect like that, and then some, and Obama is, who do we vote for, man? Can we find a barbarian who would never do this? Oh, yes, we can. Yes, we can. For that, we move to the next Fox News clip with Liz Cheney, clip number 11.
The internet is abuzz today with this picture. Take a look. It is a picture of the President of the United States bowing to the Emperor of Japan during his trip to Asia. By way of comparison, when Vice President Cheney met the Emperor in 2007, no bow.
Yes!
Bill Kristol, what do you make of Bowgate?
Sarah Palin would not have bowed to the Emperor of Japan. She wouldn't even have curtsied to him, Nor should we have an Attorney General who is taking the extremely risky move of bringing Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to New York. Well, I don't know. I mean,
you could also look at the comparison and think Cheney 2012.
Yeah.
Oh, really? How far do you want to go with that?
Well, the bow.
Wait a minute.
Make news. Let Liz make news. Okay. Cheney, Palin. Anyway.
Or Palin Cheney. Don't be sexist.
I met the Emperor when I was Vice President Quayle's Chief of Staff. We went over just after he was actually.
Did you bow?
No. And the Vice President didn't, and we weren't told by the embassy to, and I bet if you look at pictures of world leaders over 20 years meeting the Emperor in Japan, they don't bow. I don't know why President Obama thought that was appropriate. Maybe he thought it would play well in Japan, but it's not appropriate for an American president to bow to a foreign monarch.
All right. Of course, you're going to be shocked to find out that what he said isn't true. Okay. We did find pictures of world leaders. Unfortunately, they're not downloadable. But it was mixed. Like, for example, a former Prime Minister of Germany, Schroeder, did not bow, okay? But Evo Morales but he's a commie, from Bolivia, so he doesn't count. He's always respectful to other people. He cares about other people. And then you had Maria Soares of Portugal. He bowed down. And the list goes on. And all the pictures were honestly about 50-50 of people who did and people who didn't. So obviously it's a tradition, it's a custom, but apparently it's not absolutely necessary. They won't be deeply offended if you do, I suppose. So it's a bit optional. You know who had the stiffest pose of all, even more than Dick Cheney? The very last picture? And you can find it on Politico.com. Al Gore. I mean, he was like a wooden statue. He's like, I will not bow. Except I'm sure it didn't even go through his mind. He was just shaking his hand. And it depends on how you take the picture, too. Come on, this is all ridiculous. But the internet is abuzz with it. Abuzz. Now, did you notice how Liz Cheney floated that bubble up there? Dick Cheney in 2012. Look, you know what I think about that. I think, have at it, Hoss. And then they were talking about Cheney and Palin, or Palin and Cheney. Oh, please make that happen. As Chris Matthews would say, I have a tingly feeling coming up my leg. I mean, that terror squad, come on. I mean, really, Dick Cheney had an approval rating in the teens. And Palin is a walking mess. Her book, we're going to talk about it later, is a debacle. One misstatement, lie, half-truth after another. Oh, my God, can you imagine a Palin-Cheney ticket? Seriously, I don't want it happening because I don't want the country to even risk that. I don't even want to take a 10% chance of that. But if you're a Democrat, that's got to be the dream team for you guys. I mean, you're going to want that ticket so badly if you're a Democratic strategist. It seems near impossible to lose to it. So, but look, I don't want to take any chance with the country, so I don't want it to happen. But look, Liz Cheney saying that's not an accident. That's not just a joke. They're seriously thinking about it. And that's why they're doing all this, like, scare tactics, and if anything goes wrong, there's any kind of terrorist attack, anything goes wrong in Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's trial, anything, and Cheney's going to jump in there like, I told you, we should have been torturing people and ignoring the American justice system all along. More war, Cheney 2012. You think they won't do it? It depends on the circumstances. I'm not saying he's definitely going to do it. But if he thinks that there's any chance he could win, he's going to be all over it. And the rest of the conservatives, they're going to love him, man. You want a real conservative? It's Dick Cheney. Now, that ought to be fun. Okay. So now we got to take a quick break. Now that we're done with Bowgate, I hope you've realized what a deep and terrible thing that the president has done here. Let's take a quick break and come back with, we're going to do a little bit of Palin, right? A little bit later in the program, but then the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed trial. And then I hope we have the time for it because I really want to get to some teabaggers who got punked, which was awesome. All right, so all of that when we return on the Young Turks.
In the heart of America.
All right, back on the Young Turks. God, I love this job. If you thought Bowgate was stupid, wait till you hear all the unbelievable things they say about the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed trial. All right, that's coming up in just a little bit. But first, something also very fun. So they were holding a rally in Minnesota against immigration, okay, and against immigration reform. They don't want all these immigrants coming in. These are the right-wingers, and they call themselves Minnesotans seeking immigration reform. Now, they want it in a different way, apparently. They want it not what they would call amnesty. In fact, it was basically a Tea Party against amnesty. They want it reform as in kick them all out. Okay, that's their idea of reform. So, you could have that argument. And they had a bunch of speakers, and they're all worked up. And so Robert Erickson, that's the name he gave, decided to speak on this issue as well. And the audio on this is sometimes a little unclear, so let me give it away a little here so you understand it better. He's going to come in talking about how the immigrants are ruining this country and how they brought disease and came here illegally. And people start to get excited. In the beginning, they're a little calm. Then once he gets into the vitriol, they love it and they start clapping. Now, notice at the end what kind of immigrants he's talking about and how long it takes for these idiots that are teabaggers against amnesty for them to catch on. All right, so let's watch. Here you go. Coming up to speak here.
Hi, my name's Robert Erickson, and I'm really excited to be here. It's people like all of you and events like this that make America great. So give yourselves a round of applause, everyone. I just want to talk about a couple themes this afternoon because I love this country and I want America to be the best place it can be. Mr. Gutierrez is getting ready to propose an immigration bill in just a few short days, and we have to make sure he knows that we want a bill that's tough on immigration. Now is the time for us to stand up and make our voices heard. In Minneapolis, where I'm from, we have a huge immigrant population that's been causing a number of problems. With the economy in recession and so many people getting laid off and unable to find work, immigrants should not be competing for the few jobs that are out there. It's just not fair to folks who have a claim to this country and a right to be here.
Exactly right, yeah!
All across America, they're contributing to the flooding of our job markets, making it hard for Americans to find jobs. Well, I'm fed up, and it's time to let our politicians know that enough is enough, and we're not going to take it anymore.
All right, now they get worked up.
We need to secure our borders to protect this country. We need to restore order and put an end to the anarchy that's sweeping the nation. We need tougher immigration laws to make sure that we send these people back where they came from. We need to protect the sovereignty of real Americans. We need to hold our politicians accountable. It's no secret that with the invasion of immigrants comes waves of crime. You see them involved in massive theft, in murder, and bringing diseases like smallpox, which is responsible for the death of millions of Americans. These are new problems, though. They've been going on for hundreds of years. They continue to this day. It's time for us to say enough is enough. Are you with me? Are you with me? All right, let's send these European immigrants back where they came from. I don't care if they're Irish, Norwegian, or any European immigrants are responsible for the most violent and heinous crimes in the history of the world. We're talking about genocide and slavery. I want more workplace rights, starting with the big bankers downtown. Those illegals are hiding out in their offices, stealing Dakota people's jobs. Let's round them up and ship them out. We need to hit them at home where they sleep. I don't care if we separate their families because they came here illegally. That's right. Anyways, so if we aren't able to stand up to these European immigrants, who can we stand up to? We need to send every one of them back home right now. That's right, for Dakota people, not for European immigrants. They stole this land through genocide and ethnic cleansing. Alright? Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the streets. Columbus, go home! Columbus, go home! Columbus, go home! Columbus, go home! Columbus, go home!
He got these morons to chant, Columbus, go home. Columbus, go home. That was awesome. I love that they didn't even catch on towards the end. They're like, yeah, send the European immigrants back. Here, let me just, in case you didn't hear it, let me give you a quick paragraph from it, which I love. He said, I say it's time to say enough is enough. Are you with me? Are you with me? I love that he did that. So they're like, yeah, we're with you. And then he hits them. Let's send these European immigrants back where they came from. I don't care if they're Polish, Irish, English, Italian, or Norwegian. European immigrants are responsible for the most violent and heinous crimes in the history of the world, including genocide and slavery. It's time to restore sovereignty of people native to this land. And they're like, yeah! What? What did he say? Morons. That was awesome. Hey, man, I don't know if Robert Erickson is his real name, but, man, nicely done. I mean, that is a grade A, perfect punking. Okay. So, and of course, it's not just that he got him, right? But it's the great message that he delivered. I mean, you want to talk about illegal immigrants to this country? Well, actually, I'm a totally legal immigrant. But back in the day, a lot of folks that came here didn't ask for permission. right? And they did bring disease with them. He measures smallpox. That's for damn sure. And they broke a lot of, well, laws, to say the least, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, all of that is forgiven. Hey, come on, those are good European immigrants. Now, when illegal immigrants do 1/100th of any of that, it causes the uproar that it does here. Now, that's not to say that, or to excuse illegal immigration. We shouldn't have it. We got to do things in a legal and responsible way. But I like how he captured the absurd fervor of those guys and their unnatural hatred of quote-unquote illegal aliens and redirected it towards them, which was awesome. Okay, so now we move on to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. My understanding is Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is coming to this country, and he is the mastermind behind 9/11, and he's finally going to be brought to justice. Now, that's a good thing, I would imagine, but apparently not. Conservatives are very, very angry that he's being brought to justice. They think this is an outrage. I almost can't quite believe it, but it's true. Let's start with Liz Cheney. She's at it again, and of course on Fox News Channel, and she is livid about actually bringing terrorists to justice. Clip number 5.
Liz, what do you worry about most? The security threat to New York, the possible danger that intelligence secrets will be disclosed, the possibility one of these guys will get off, or something else? What's your biggest concern?
I think it is absolutely unconscionable that we are a nation at war and that the President of the United States simultaneously is denying our troops on the ground in Afghanistan the resources that they need to prevail to win that war, while he ushers terrorists onto the homeland. Yeah. He's going to put these terrorists into a courthouse that is 6 blocks from where over 2,000 Americans were killed on the worst attack in history on the American homeland. He's going to give them a public platform where they can spew venom, where they can preach jihad, where they can reach out and recruit other terrorists. And it is totally unnecessary. When the Attorney General says that he's bringing them to justice, he's ignoring the fact that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed asked 11 months ago to be executed for Allah. He asked to plead guilty and be executed. We should have said, all right, you've got it. Instead, we're bringing him and his cohorts to America. We're giving them the constitutional rights of American citizens. And the Attorney General throughout the day on Friday talked about this as a crime. He said in that same interview Maura is talking about that this will be treated like any other crime.
But what about...
There's no question but that the Obama administration now has, in a completely indefensible way, taken us back to a pre-9/11 treatment of terrorism.
Yeah. It was indefensible, you know, the treatment of terrorists earlier. Like, for example, the World Trade Center bombing in 1993. We only caught all of those guys and tried them, and they're serving life sentences in maximum security prison in Colorado. Indefensible. How we got all of them, and we brought all of them to justice. How dare we? Treating this like a crime. The worst murder in American history. That's not a crime. No, it's not. What is it? Oh, it's an act of war. So what should we do? Should we just leave them on Guantanamo, get all the troops out, and just drop a bomb on them and kill them all after we've captured them? First of all, that's against the rules of war. You can't do that in a war either. I keep going back to what the hell do you want us to do with them? I mean, just go out there and execute them? Shoot them in the head? Right? Well, that brings us to Bill O'Reilly. I'm going to go to clip number 8 here. He's on Glenn Beck's radio program, and he answers the question I've been asking this whole time. What do we do with them if we don't bring them to trial, which is what we do in America? That's what we have the justice system for. Well, here's O'Reilly's answer.
Why do you suppose the president is... why are we going to have a trial of killers, of terrorists, here in New York?
Well, from what I can put together here, it's totally insane. I mean, this guy has already admitted it. So why are we bothering putting him on trial?
Yeah,
he's admitted it.
Yeah, very American of you.
When you commit a terrorist act or a crime, and they're two different distinctive things, the guy's admitted it, so he shouldn't be going on trial anyway. He should just be shot. You know, I don't even believe in capital punishment, but that's what the military tribunal would do. And these pinheads that want the trial in New York, I think there are two reasons. The ACLU crew, which is pushing it, and Holder, the Attorney General, they want to put the Bush administration on trial, waterboarding on trial, the CIA on trial. That's what they want to do. They want to humiliate all of the war on terror, Bush-Cheney axis. That's their goal, okay? And that will happen. Obama himself is basically, in my opinion, is Pontius Pilate here. It's Pontius Pilate in Latin, but we say Pontius Pilate here in America. All he does on these things...
Do they say Pontius Pilate in Latin America?
He's not the architect of them. He just stands back and washes his hands of it.
No, you're wrong.
See, I don't believe he's the architect.
Oh, I do.
See, I think Rahm Emanuel is the architect.
All right, well, Billo's got a suggestion there at least. He's being constructive. He says, they already admitted it. What do you need a trial for? Bill, that's a great point. He said it's true in case of terrorism and in cases of crime. So in case you committed a crime here, and the cops or the military or whoever's in charge say that you admitted it, well, then what do you need a trial for? We just take you out in the back and we shoot you in the head. I mean, that's the American way, right? You heard it with your own ears. That's literally the argument they're making. Well, if you already admitted it, and we don't need a trial. The cops or the military told us you admitted it. So we just shoot you in the head. I'm repeating it because I can't believe he said that. I don't know why I can't believe it, given all the things I've listened to from O'Reilly and Beck. But these people are 100% un-American. They don't understand the concept of America at all. If you let them, they would run dictatorships. And they say, oh, yeah, that guy disagreed with me, and that guy admitted something. He confessed. Yeah, trust me, he confessed. That's why I shot him in the head. That's the system they believe in, right? And they think that trying to bring Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to justice is actually a secret plot to embarrass the CIA. I hope the CIA was instrumental in catching him. That's not embarrassing him. That's their greatest accomplishment. Oh, no, they're going to put torture on trial. No, they're not. They're going to try their best to avoid the topic of torture because that winds up helping the guy's defense. And they're going to say they got all of his admissions, confessions, etc., after the torture issue had passed because the guy had, has admitted it before in open court and presumably will admit it again in open court. And besides, we have his statements from earlier. They're going to try him like we do in America. If you agree with those guys, you've missed the whole point of the country. You're as un-American in your ideas as you can possibly be. And then Liz Cheney, they're going to bring them to 6 blocks, within 6 blocks of where it happened. Yeah, because that's where the crime occurred. That's what we do in this country. If you commit a crime in Nebraska, we don't bring you to Rhode Island. We bring you to Nebraska to try you there. Fools, charlatans, and un-American. That's what they are. Young Turks.